Hello viewers, welcome to the Bachelor course of Population Studies. Today we will discuss census in India, concepts and applications. Population is the base of production and distribution of material wealth. It is necessary to have reliable and detailed data on size, distribution and composition of population in order to planning, implementation, economic and social development. Population census is a primary source of providing statistics covering not only the settled population but also homeless persons and nomadic groups. Data from population census exist in a country about its people, religion, culture, language, education, health and socio-economic status. The Census of India is conducted once in a decade. Under this, data is collected from every individual by visiting the household and canvassing the questionnaire all over the country. The questions and the concepts used in different censuses enable us to evaluate the trends in the Indian censuses. Significant changes have been made in the census questionnaires right from 1872 to 1971 census. The various concepts have been developed, framed and adopted at the Census of India from 1872 to 2011, which are explained as: first of all, concepts adopted in 1872 to 1971 census. First is census house. The term house in India covers the greatest diversity of dwelling. In 1872, a house was defined as any permanent structure which on land serves for the accommodation of human beings or of animals. In the census of 1881, house was defined as the dwelling place of one or more families with their servants having a separate principal entrance from the public way. The same definition with slight modification continued till 1951. In 1961 census, house was defined as a structure or a part of a structure inhabited or vacant, a shop cum dwelling or a place of business with a separate main entrance. In 1971 census, house was defined as a building or part of a building having a separate main entrance from the road or common courtyard or staircase used or recognized as a separate unit. It may be inhabited or vacant. It may be used for a residential or non-residential purpose or both. Second one is family or household. The household or family was first defined in 1872 as comprising of those who lived together and ordinarily cooked at the same home, including their servants and visitors. In 1881 census, it was defined as comprising of all those persons who actually slept in the house. From 1891 till 1941, the term family was used in place of household. From 1951 census onward, again the concept of household was used in Indian censuses. In 1971 census, a household was defined as a group of persons who commonly lived together and would take their meals from a common kitchen unless The exigencies of work prevented any of them from doing so. Third one is age. The concept of age changed from census to census. In 1872, age next birthday was recorded. From 1881 to 1921 and also in 1951, age completed in the last birthday was recorded. In 1931, age nearest birthday was recorded. In 1941 census, the age was recorded in years and months. In 1961 census, age last birthday was recorded. In 1971 census, the age of the person in total years completed last birthday was recorded. Now, the fourth point is marital status. Information on marital status was collected for the first time in 1881 census. From 1881 to 1931 censuses, the population was classified into married, unmarried, widowed or widower. No information was collected regarding divorce. Divorced persons were entered as widower from 1901 to 1931. It was only in 1941 census that the divorced persons were recorded separately. In 1951 census, the marital status was recorded as unmarried, married, widowed and divorced. No change in the definition of marital status was made in 1961 census except that the term unmarried was replaced by never married. Separated was added with divorced. In 1971 census, the marital status of a person was recorded as never married, married, widowed and separated or divorced. Fifth point is place of birth. From 1881 to 1971, the question on the place of birth was recorded with a view to study the migration of the population. The name of the district where the person was born was recorded. In case the person was not born in the state of enumeration, the province of birth was also recorded. In 1961, two more questions. One is whether born in village or town and second is duration of residence if born elsewhere was recorded. In all censuses from 1881 to 1971, if a person was born outside the Indian Union, the name of the country was also recorded. In 1971 census, birthplace was again recorded in respect of each person. Sixth point is rural and urban areas. In all censuses, the data are generally presented for the rural and urban areas separately. In the rural areas, the village generally follows the limits of a revenue village that is recognized by the normal district administration. In 1971 census, the definition adopted for an urban area which follows the pattern of 1961 was all places with a municipality, corporation or cantonment or notified town area. Second is all other places which satisfied this criteria. Number 1, minimum population of 5,000. Second, at least 75% of the male working population was non-agricultural. Third one is a density of population of at least 400 square kilometer, that is 1000 per square mile. The director of census of each state or union territory was however given some discretion in consultation with the state government to include deserving and to exclude undeserving cases. Seventh is standard urban areas. a new concept that had been developed for the 1971 census for the tabulation of certain urban data was the standard urban area. The essential of a standard urban area are: number 1, it should have a core town with minimum population of 50,000. Second is, the contiguous areas should have close mutual socio-economic links with the core town, and the third one is, the probabilities are that this entire area will get fully urbanized in a period of 2 to 3 decades. Now, the next 8th point is religion. The question on religion was asked from the each individual since the beginning of the census, that is 1872. In 1971, the religion of each individual as returned by him was recorded. In 1881, the caste, if Hindu, and the sect of the religion other than Hindu was recorded. In 1891, the question on the sect of the religion, and in 1911, the sect of Christian was also recorded. In 1931, the question was buried as religion and sect. In rest of the censuses, no information was collected on the sect of the religion. 9th point is nationality. The question on nationality was asked in 1872 census, and after that it appeared only in 1951 and 1961 census. The major criteria of nationality was ethnic origin and not citizenship. In 1971, the question was dropped. Next, 10th point is caste, tribe or race. The type of information collected on caste, tribe or race was different in different censuses. In 1881, caste Hindu and other than Hindu were recorded. In 1891, main caste and subdivision of caste or race was recorded. In 1901 and 1911 censuses, the caste of Hindu and Jains, tribe or race of those of other religions were recorded. In 1921, 1931 and 1941 censuses, caste, tribe or race of all the individuals enumerated was recorded. In 1951 census, membership of any scheduled caste, scheduled tribe or any other backward class was recorded. In 1961 and 1971, the information was collected only for each scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. 11th point is literacy. It means both ability to read and write in any language. In all the censuses, besides data on literacy, additional information was also collected. In 1872, the information about youth up to age 20 attending school, college was recorded. In 1881 census, the information was collected whether the individual were under instruction or not. In 1891 census, besides this, the foreign language known, if any, was also recorded. From 1901 to 1941 census, there was an additional question whether the literate knew English or not. In 1971, the information on literacy and educational level was collected from each individual. Next point is mother tongue. The mother tongue means the language first spoken by the individual from the cradle. From 1881 census onward, it was put to the enumerators differently in different censuses. In 1891 census, the question was parent tongue, which had been defined as the language spoken by the parent of the individual. In 1901 census, parent tongue was replaced by language ordinarily used in 1911. The question was language ordinarily spoken in the household. In 1921, the question was simply language ordinarily used. The question on mother tongue was repeated from census to census from 1931 to 1971. In 1971 census, the information on other language was again collected from each individual. 13th point is economic activity. The information on economic activity was collected right from the 1872 census. In the censuses of 1872 and 1881, only one question relating to occupation was asked. In 1891, the concept of means of subsistence was introduced. From 1901 to 1921, the information on principal and subsidiary occupation or means of subsistence of actual workers were recorded. In 1931 census, the term actual worker was replaced by the earner. In 1941 census, means of livelihood in order of importance was recorded in respect of each worker. The 1951 census ascertained the economic status and means of livelihood. In 1961, the population was divided into two classes, workers and non-workers. In 1971 census, the main activity of a person was ascertained according to time spent by him as a worker producing goods and services or as a non-worker. Third main point is concepts adopted in 2001 census. First one is persons enumerated. In 2001 census, for the purpose of enumeration, these persons are enumerated in a household. First one is all those who normally reside and are present in that household during the entire period of enumeration, that is from 9th February to 28th February 2001, both days inclusive. Second one, those who are not known to be normally residing and had actually stayed during a part of the enumeration period in the household 9th February to 28th February 2001, but are not present at the time of the visit of the enumerator. Third one is also those who are known to be normally residing in the household and are not present at the time of the visit, but expected to return by 28th February 2001. And fourth is visitors who are present in the household censused and expected to be away from the places of their usual residence during the entire enumeration period. For the purpose of enumeration, such visitors were treated as normal residents of the household where they were actually found during the enumeration period, provided they were not being enumerated elsewhere. In census, every person, irrespective of age, sex, caste, creed, region, origin or religion, is counted only once, without omission or duplication provided she or he satisfied the criteria of enumeration listed. Second is rural urban areas. The unit of classification in this regard is town for urban areas and village for rural areas. In the Census of India 2001, the definition of urban area adopted is same as covered in 1971 censuses. City. Towns with population of 1 lakh and above are called cities. Household. The concept of household is same as 1971 census. However, if a group of unrelated persons live in a census house but do not take their meals from the common kitchen, then they are not constituent of a common household. Each such person was to be treated as a separate household. The important link in finding out whether it was a household or not was a common kitchen. There may be one member, two member or multi-member households. A household with at least one scheduled caste member is treated as scheduled caste household. Similarly, a household having at least one scheduled tribe member is treated as a scheduled tribe household. Fifth is institutional household. A group of unrelated persons who live in an institution and take their meals from a common kitchen is called an institutional household. Examples of institutional households are boarding houses, messes, hostels, hotels, rescue homes, jails, ashrams, orphanages, etc. In Census 2001, it was specifically mentioned that this would cover only those households where a group of unrelated persons live in an institution and share a common kitchen. Sixth is houseless households. Households who do not live in buildings or census houses but live in the open on roadside, pavements, under flyovers and staircases, railway platform, etc. are treated as houseless households. Seventh is head of the households. The head of household for census purpose is a person who bears the chief responsibility for managing the affairs of the household and take decision on behalf of the household. The head of the household need not necessarily be the oldest male member or an earning member, but may be a female or a younger member of either sex. Eighth point is scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. The instruction to the enumerators for recording the individual responses on religion and scheduled caste and scheduled tribes were more or less the same as in the past censuses. Literates, a person aged 7 years and above who can both read and write with understanding in any language has been taken as literate. It is not necessary for a person to have received any formal education or passed any minimum educational standard for being treated as literate. People who were blind and could read in Braille are treated to be literates. 10th number is work. Work means physical or mental participation in any productive activity with or without compensation, wages or profit. Work involves not only actual work but also includes effective supervision and direction of work. It even includes part-time help or unpaid work on farm, family enterprise or in any other economic activity. 11th is main workers. Those workers who had worked for the major part of the reference period, that is 6 months or more, are termed as main workers. Next is marginal workers. Those workers who had not worked for the major part of the reference period, that is less than 6 months, are termed as marginal workers. Next is cultivator. For purpose of the census, a person is classified as cultivator if he or she is engaged in cultivation of land owned or held from government, private persons or institutions for payment in money. Next point is agricultural labor. A person who works on another person's land for wages is regarded as an agricultural labor. She or he has no risk in the cultivation but merely works on another person's land for wages. An agricultural laborer has no right of lease or contract on land on which she or he works. Next is household industry workers. Household industry means an industry run by one or more members of the household at home or within the village in rural areas and within the limits of the house in urban areas. The larger proportion of workers in the household industry consist of members of the household. Household industry relates to production, processing, servicing, repairing or making and selling of goods. It does not include professions such as a doctor, musician, dancer, waterman, astrologer, dhobi, barber, etc. Next point is other workers. Those workers who have been engaged in some economic activity during the last 1 year but are not cultivators or agricultural laborer or in household industry are other workers. This includes all government servants, municipal employees, teachers, factory workers, plantation workers, workers engaged in trade, commerce, transport, banking, mining, construction, political or social work, etc. Next is non-worker, a person who did not work during the reference period was treated as non-worker. The non-workers broadly constitute students, household duties like cooking, cleaning utensils, looking after children or dependents such as infants or very elderly people, pensioners who are not engaged in any economic activity paid or unpaid. Next is sex ratio. Sex ratio has been defined as the number of females per 1000 males in the population. It is expressed as number of females per 1000 males. Next is child sex ratio, that is 0 to 6 years. Child sex ratio 0 to 6 years has been defined as the number of females in age group 0 to 6 years per 1000 males in the same age group in the population. It is expressed as number of female children aged 0 to 6 years per 1000 male children aged 0 to 6 years. Next is literacy rate. Literacy rate of population is defined as the percentage of literate to total population age 7 years and above. Next is work participation rate. Work participation rate is defined as the percentage of total workers, it includes main and marginal, to total population. Next is location code structure adopted in census 2001. There are two different sets of codes, namely the location code for villages and the location codes for the towns. Next is migration. Migration includes any movement within the political boundaries of a nation which results in a change of usual place of residence. It may consist of the crossing of a village or town boundary as a minimum condition for qualifying the movement as internal migration. Fourth main point is concepts adopted in 2011 census. There are certain concepts in 2011 census which has already been covered in 2001 census. These concepts are like rural urban areas, city, household, institutional household, houseless household, head of the household, literate, sex ratio, child sex ratio and literacy rate. Apart from these, the other concepts used in census 2011 are number 1, enumeration block. Enumeration block means a specific area allotted to a specific enumerator for the purpose of carrying out of census operations relating to population enumeration. Second is house listing block. House listing block means a specific area allotted to a specific enumerator for the purpose of carrying out of census operations relating to house numbering and house listing. Third one is premises. Premises means building along with the land and or common places in case of apartments, flats, multi-story buildings attached to it. A building may not always have a compound wall or fencing. Next one is building. A building is generally a single structure on the ground. Usually, a structure will have 4 walls and a roof. Sometimes, it is made up of more than one component which may be used for a combination of purposes such as residence cum shop, residence cum workshop, residence cum office, residence cum doctor's clinic, etc. Fifth is census house. A census house is a building or part of a building used or recognized as a separate unit because of having a separate main entrance from the road or common courtyard or staircase, etc. Sixth is persons enumerated. Generally speaking, persons who were present in the household during the entire period of enumeration or who were known to be usual residents of the household and have stayed there for part of the enumeration period or who were not present at the time of visit of the enumerator but were expected to return by 28th February 2011 were eligible to be enumerated. Seventh is normal household. A normal household is usually a group of persons who normally live together and take their meals from a common kitchen, common cooking, unless the exigencies of the work prevent any of them from doing so. To sum up, it can be stated that the concepts used in different censuses enable us to evaluate the trends in the Indian censuses. The census is available on various subjects like population, economy, finance, literacy and sex ratio, which is an interesting data source and helpful for scholars and researchers. That's all for today. In next lecture, we will continue with some related issue. Thank you.